The Holy Gospel is written in St. Luke's Gospel, chapter 12, beginning at verse 16. Jesus told the people a parable. The land of a rich man produced abundantly, and he thought to himself, "What should I do? For I have no place to store my crops." Then he said, "I will do this. I will pull down my barns and build larger ones, and there I will store all my grains and my goods. And I will say to my soul, 'Soul, you have ample goods laid up for many years. Relax, eat, drink, be merry.' But God said to him, 'You fool! This very night your life is being demanded of you, and the things you have prepared, whose will they be?' So it is with those who store up treasures for themselves, but are not rich towards God." He said to his disciples, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, or about your body, what you will wear. For life is more than food, and the body more than clothing. Consider the ravens. They neither sow nor reap. They have neither storehouse nor barn, and yet God feeds them. Of how much more value are you than the birds? And can any of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your span of life? If then you are not able to do so small a thing as that, why do you worry about the rest? Consider the lilies, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. Yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not clothed like one of these. But if God so clothes the grass of the field, which is alive today and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, you of little faith? And do not keep striving for what you are to eat and what you are to drink, and do not keep worrying. For it is the nations of the world that strive after all these things, and your Father knows that you need them." I remember when, as a child, I was made to write thank you letters. And of course I understood the reason for them. When someone was kind enough to send a present for my birthday or for Christmas, the right thing to do was to thank them. But I remember as a kind of torture sitting with a piece of writing paper and a pen and being told that I couldn't just write, "Dear Uncle Frank and Auntie Edna, thank you for the jigsaw. It was nice. Love, John." My mum said I had to write a proper letter, and I had to think of what I wanted to say to them. I confess that it even made me wonder sometimes whether the small pleasure of receiving the gift was worth the agony of struggling to write something to say thank you afterwards. There was something wonderful about so many people earlier this year wanting to stand outside their houses at 8 o'clock on a Thursday evening, ready to clap for the NHS. It expressed a widely held feeling of gratitude for our health service in general and for the amazing response of health workers during the COVID-19 crisis. We did it for 10 weeks, and then, at the suggestion of the person who started it, we stopped. I don't think that means that we no longer feel grateful for the NHS, but that someone wisely recognised that this collective expression of gratitude couldn't be sustained indefinitely. If we don't say thank you at all, it gives the impression that we take things and people for granted. If we only say it because we think we ought to, then our words sound insincere and dishonest. Gratitude comes from recognising and appreciating the kindness of someone else. Being truly grateful results from and contributes to our happiness. Saying thank you from our heart gives back a share of that happiness to the person who's made us feel that way. I guess many of us will have taken stock of our lives through these last few difficult months and reckoned up the reasons that we have to be grateful. There are challenging times ahead as we go into the winter and the rest of the year beyond. One way of keeping going will be to continue to count our blessings, focusing on what we have and what we can still do, rather than on what we have lost or what is denied to us. The biggest enemies of gratitude are greed and envy. We're slowly coming to see that building the world's economy on making people dissatisfied and urging them to consume more and more of the world's resources to compete with their neighbours is a really bad idea. It's not only destroying the planet we all share, it's also making more and more of us unhappy. Harvest Thanksgiving is a joyous time, and I find Jesus' words in our Gospel deeply reassuring. He spoke about God's provision for people, which is by no means any less than for birds or flowers. He told us that stress and worry don't make anything better. His message was, trust God. At Harvest, we take those words to heart. We remember, thankfully, what we have been blessed with, and we help God to bless others by contributing to what they need. Food donated on Sunday will be taken to the Agape Food Bank, which doesn't just distribute parcels of food, it shares hope and gratitude through generosity and kindness. Money given in the collection plate will go to Christian Aid and will enable our gratitude to reach people whose circumstances are very different from our own. It will bring with it life and new possibilities to those who are content with far less than we expect for ourselves. For Jesus, faith was more than finding a way to cope with life. He preached the kingdom, and he urged us to work together and to work with God to change the world completely. He wanted every country, every society, every community, every family, every person to live in harmony with God's goodness and love, expressed collectively through justice and equality for all. A better world for everyone, and a better world that means a happier life for all. First hymn we're going to sing on Sunday ends, "Then will your blessing reach every people, each one confessing your gracious hand. When you are reigning, no one will hunger, your love sustaining, fruitful the land." That's the vision to sustain our lives, grateful for what we have received, wanting to share God's love and goodness for the benefit of everyone.